Welcome back, Red Spotters, to the show here in the Red Spotlight Entertainment Podcast. I'm your host, Alexis J. Soto, and I'm joined by my good friends, Mr. David Francisco and Mr. Peter Martinez. Both Kyle Lira and Alexis Moreno were supposed to be on tonight's show. However, extenuating circumstances have intervened, and so they will not be here tonight. So today is I forget, what part are we in? Is this 4? 5? Part 5 now? Yeah, part 5 of our Avatar The Last Airbender weekly recap series. Last time we left you with the final 10 episodes of Season 2, Book 2, Earth. And today we're going to talk about the first 10 episodes of Season 3, Book FAIRE. David has, of course, the Sacred Scrolls that have the names of the episodes and descriptions, of course, and everything. So let's go ahead and get into this. This is Red Spotlight number 245. Hey, we're there. Mm-hmm. We're here. So we're going to get into these episodes, and we're going to go through it episode by episode as we usually do, but I think I forgot a lot of these episodes because when I would watch it, and David and I watched the series and it was airing live back in the day and everything. It seems as if I blocked out the fact that this season came out 2 years after season 2. Mm-hmm. Because the most episodes that I remember in my mind the most are in season 2. And a lot of these episodes, I necessarily didn't have the fondest memories of, or any memories really toward. But in my rewatch, and this will be a theme throughout, I feel a lot of them are kind of, for what it does to the characters, some of the strongest episodes. I really did enjoy them going back this time around. So let's get into it. Episode 1, David.
Yes. So the first episode is called The Awakening. So it starts off with Aang waking up and he realizes he's in a Fire Nation ship. He tries to escape, but then realizes that it's his team took over the ship, basically, and they've been hiding out ever since he got knocked out from Ba Sing Se. And he realizes he was out for a few weeks, which it caused him to grow some hair. That's just a funny thing that they mentioned, that happened in that episode. But he also realized that everyone in the world thinks he's dead again, and now he's truly felt failure, really. Finally, in this show, which. This was a great episode for Mang, honestly. I really liked. So the big thing that I noticed was that parallel between him and Zuko. When he realized that he failed.
Always with the parallels.
Yes.
A lot of them, actually.
A lot of... It literally... So what I'm mentioning is when he realized that people thought he was dead now, and he realized he failed... There's a line that he says, "I have to redeem myself. I have to regain my honor." And literally, like, half his face is on like the right side of the screen, and then it just like fades into Zuko's like where he's at, and he's on the left side of the screen. It's like, oh, okay,
that's called storytelling. Yeah,
I mean, it's really good. Like, it seems like obvious that you could do that, but it's really good. Like, it really felt the weight of Aang's loss in this, and yeah. So with Zuko's story, what happened to him? He
finally got everything he ever wanted.
Yes, he's going back home now, finally, and he's very nervous about it. Basically, has no idea what's gonna happen, but he knows he's also pretty much failed too, actually. Because he wasn't the one that stopped Aang. That was Azula. So, yeah. And then I loved it when they actually like made it home.
He doesn't think that he's actually dead. And that was his whole thing was he had to capture the Avatar. Or at the very least kill him. and now, you know, he's being celebrated. He finally has everything he's ever wanted, but he didn't actually accomplish what he set out to do.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's better. But I liked it when they finally made it home, and you had those like two old ladies, basically telling what happened in the last season. And
They're creepy.
they were creepy. Yeah, that's why I love it, because they were talking in sync, just going like, Azula took down Ba Sing Se, they struck down the Avatar, and blah, blah,
There's
blah.
war in Ba Sing Se now.
Yeah, there really is. And then, like, as they're saying their speech, you see the Fire Nation, like, just basically, like, just walking around Ba Sing Se, and then you see... Yeah, I didn't notice it. This is literally the first time I noticed it when I was watching it today. You see the girl that was on a date with Zuko. Like, you see her in her house.
Yeah.
I didn't notice it. This is literally the first time I saw it. And then you see the family that was traveling with Aang and the Serpent's Pass. They were seeing what's happening, and now they're scared, which is, like, really sad to watch, honestly. And so, yeah, and then I think, yeah, they put down the Fire Nation banner over the palace, and they took over.
Very Nazi-esque.
Basically.
Marching into occupied France.
Like Bernie Sanders did.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So, yay or nay on Aang's hair?
I like it.
I like it.
I like seeing physical changes on the characters, even if it's just like hair, costume, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
This whole team got, I think, perhaps the most major changes to their facial, to their appearances. So, it's not in this episode, but in the next few episodes, Katara gets a new hairstyle. Sokka, his sides have grown in, so it's no longer bald
He's
on the
getting
side.
older.
That's true. And of course, Aang has a full head of hair, which, you know, also helps to really illustrate how, you know, the passage of time, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, yeah, I mean, it's obviously weird at first because, like, he's been bald the whole show, but, like...
Honestly,
But when did he cut it? During the show?
We've seen it a few times.
Razor with him?
Yeah, actually, in season 2,
yeah.
there was, in the Tales of Ba Sing Se, where they were all getting ready in the bathroom, and then Aang, like, was shaving it. Like,
Oh,
like,
really?
Shaving cream, yeah.
Yeah.
So he does shave it, and I actually, like, don't remember, like, the first time watching it, that scene, I don't remember it, but when in the beginning of third season, when he has, like, the full head of hair, I literally thought, wait, he can actually grow hair? I thought he was just born bald.
Yeah.
It was funny. But yeah, it took me multiple rewatches to realize, like, oh no, he actually does shave it.
Okay. Yeah, it's a big episode for Aang because obviously, and it doesn't seem that it occurs to anybody else that it would have a big impact on him. You know, that the world thinks that he's fucking dead.
Mm-hmm.
They probably should have been more careful with telling him that, and he basically does become Zuko in that instance of regaining his honor and all of that and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also a big thing with Katara here, right? Katara and her father.
Yeah, and people are so annoyed of this part from her.
I don't understand. A lot of different shows have, you know, their own kind of fandoms, but the things that they choose to complain about really, really blow me away.
Well, when you don't have much to complain about, you gotta find something.
That is true.
I guess, right? Because, I mean, we can't help ourselves in that sense. So, yeah, I think Katara's attitude here and the attacks that she gets for it, I don't think are fair. And, like, a lot of the things that I'm sure people would say is that, why is she being a bitch? Like, can't she see that, like, she went out there and she and her father protected everybody, why does she have to be such a prude? Like, I bet you that's kind of the attacks that she would get. And Katara herself says in the episode, hey, I get you. I love you for helping us and for, saving the rest of the world. But I don't know why I still feel this way. And I hate the fact that I feel angry at you. She says that herself in the episode.
I agree.
Yes,
it does come off a little sexist. Like, if it was a male. Because in the last episode, I was talking about, like, Aang. It's kind of, was it Aang? So someone like whining a bit, and all you bitches were down my throat. Like, whoa. It's perfectly reasonable for him to. And I think Katara has more of a level of being reasonable about kind of being pissed. My issue is that it really comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Because throughout the rest of the season, she does seem rather understanding about everything that's going on. And whenever they're like, oh, we get to see your dad, she gets really happy. And she's like, yeah, like we want to see our dad. Like she's basically on the same level when discussing that as her brother. So in this one, where it's randomly just like, don't talk to me, Dad. It's weird. It comes out of nowhere. Now, if in the previous seasons they had built that up, where what's the brother's name again? Sokka. If Sokka was like, this is our chance to see Dad, and she's like, who cares? We have a mission to do, or like she avoids having to go and see him while Sokka's trying to pull them. Then it would make sense. That scene happened, but not at all the way that you are suggesting that it would have been played off, because there was the scene at the end of season 2 where she offers, instead of her seeing Dad, for Sokka to go. But that's played as her being bigger and like wanting... because she wanted to see Dad. But, so to me, it's like, it's kind of weird where it's like, I want so badly to see you, Dad. And then the second you see him, fuck off, bitch. Like, it's weird. My issue isn't that she feels that way. It's that it doesn't, I don't think it makes sense for her character.
Yeah.
So this is an area where the show could have handled that much better.
It could have just been built up, like she's kind of like...
It's a 180 for her character, I feel. And I think if they had at least hinted to it, where, you have Sokka desperately wanting to go see the dad, and then she's just like maybe ambivalent or doesn't care or says like, Sokka, like, he's gone, like, stop.
Or tries to just kind of like avoid it entirely. Like,
almost. Or like try to avoid that. Then it's like, okay. But no, she was the same level of happy and excited to see him as Sokka. So it's like, what's eating you now? It's weird. Now, you could try and justify that as she just almost lost Aang, so who she's obviously very connected to. So her emotions are all haywire at the moment.
Another aspect to this is, and David, I'm going to lean on you. Hopefully you have an answer here. Does it say in the episode how much time has passed? How long has Aang been in a coma, basically?
A few weeks.
Since the end of season 2. A few weeks?
Yeah, she says a few weeks. And I think I know what you're suggesting, that she does meet him finally after a long time, and she's probably happy about it. But those few weeks together, it kind of like built up a bit of a rage in her.
It began to hit harder, right?
Yeah.
That could be a way to justify it, but of course, the disadvantage is we didn't see those weeks, did we? It just wasn't at all in the show. We were missing time. So, yeah.
I actually didn't even think about that her almost losing Aang kind of brought that emotion out of her, and that's actually pretty interesting.
Well, yeah, because like season 2 ended on a fucking dark
note. It went all Empire Strikes Back.
It really was Empire Strikes Back, especially because I noticed that in this season, most of the first 10 episodes, like it kind of feels like filler almost. Like there's some like great ones that we'll get into, but most of the time it's just like one little getting back into like, I guess, the first season almost, where they just go into like a little side adventure. But season 2 is just kind of like, it's a little side adventure, but it just like it keeps progressing the story more and more, and keeps putting the characters in like more and more dangers. So
not to say the season 3 is bad, but season 3 I remembered the least.
Well, that's what I said in the beginning, right? Like, this is the one that I wouldn't remember
and
the
I
most,
don't know
except
why.
for the finale. Except for the finale, everybody remembers that.
Yeah.
I remember a lot of season 2, Bossing Say, all that
Right,
shit, Toph.
right.
And I remember a lot of season 1, but season 3, it's like dragons, finale, beach episode, and that's it.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, like it's kind of like a lot of filler episodes in this season. It's not until like after. Really, what I remember is the episode with Sokka learning how to fight with the sword, and then Day of Black Sun, and everything else afterwards. I kind of remember.
Well,
It's like Return of the Jedi. It's like we need filler in the first half because all we have left is the third act.
Yes.
Yeah, and I still stand by saying that I think of these episodes in a better light than they did originally, but I would have to agree with you guys that when this was first airing, I was slightly underwhelmed because, aside from a couple really good ones, obviously, but a lot of it did feel like, okay, because even in the plot mechanics of this, they're kind of just waiting for the eclipse to happen. So
They're just kind of going
And
around
lot-
exploring the Fire Kingdom.
yeah, yeah. But at the same time, I still have not come across a single episode of the show that's not enjoyable. So it's interesting. So for this first episode, I think it was a good start. They had a lot of heavy things with Katara, obviously, and then Aang having to reassert himself, to give himself a renewed sense of hope that he's still up to it. But that's basically kind of it. And then the stuff with Zuko, again, is I think I was left very cold with Zuko at the end of season 2. Looking back on it, clearly, that road to redemption is still clearly there, and that was a setback. But like, you know how I am when it comes to
compare
people
it to another Star Wars film,
I know, right?
The Last Jedi.
Fucking God. Every time.
Season 2 ended with him, he could make a choice. And he chose the bad path.
Yeah.
You'd find the story finally stopped and said, now is the time to choose, now choose. And he chose the bad path. That being said, the good path still isn't completely closed to him, but it's a fucking choice, that has ramifications.
Right. And especially you do get that almost off the bat. I don't think, aside from like making out with May, there's no instance here where he's like,
see, if Alexis was here,
ease.
that was easily her favorite part of that episode.
It wouldn't surprise me, but almost off the bat, like, Zuko is just never, he doesn't seem comfortable with any of it. Like, it's almost as if his body is trying to tell him, you made the wrong call and this is killing you.
By the way,
but you don't know it
the
yet.
first time that we officially see the Fire Lord is when he finally, when Zuko is finally face to face for him, in the first time in the entire series.
Yes.
I thought that was really interesting. That the first time that we see him is the first time that Zuko sees him after all this time. Which, by the way, hashtag The Last Airbender canceled because Fire Lord Ozai is played by a white man.
Oh no.
And we cannot have that.
I mean,
Mark Hamill, you're canceled. Make it trend, Twitter.
I mean, everyone but Zuko is voiced by a white person, so
Yeah, that's why I'm canceling the whole show.
Oh God. Also, it really just almost immediately backfires in Zuko's face. Again, why would anybody trust Azula? But like, almost like from the very beginning, even though it was
manipulative.
yeah, but Zuko would and should know better at this point. It's just a minor frustration, but even then,
Zuko's kind of dumb.
Yes, obviously. When it came to these recent decisions, but like, I mean, God, fucking Azula can never stop playing games, can she?
No.
Like, even when they've won the war, she's still like, at this point, it's like you're just manipulating them for fun.
Well, yeah, that's who she is.
Well, yeah, that's
More so than I think any of the other examples, though, because there was, the scapegoat of a mission and everything, but this season really makes it abundantly clear. She has a bad case of psychosis. Any other remarks on this episode?
I like that bit of detail that it was when they were still on the ship and Katara was like, "Oh, you need another healing session and all that," and like she takes out the water from his scar. And he has like those visions and shit, and he goes, "Whoa, I was gone," like basically saying that he died in that moment, and somehow Katara brought him back.
Now, technically, if we follow the rules of this universe, should he not be cut off from the previous line of avatars?
If he died, right?
Yes. Technically, he did die in the avatar state. That should have severed his connection to his previous lives and end the cycle, even if he lived.
Well, wait a minute here. I thought
he would truly be the last avatar.
The way that I remember reading that is, if he died in the avatar state, definitively dead, the avatar itself dies.
Yes.
Yeah. There is no next avatar.
That's what I mean.
But he didn't. But
he did definitively
survived.
Die. He was just brought back by the magic juice, water juice.
All I can say to
Aang
that
said it himself. He said, "I was gone."
All I can say to that is that you need to watch Legend of Korra.
God damn.
Get into it.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I thought you started watching that show, Peter.
I haven't even finished watching The Last Airbender.
Oh my God.
I've seen the first season because I actually watched the Last Airbender like pretty recently before Korra actually came out, like was announced and then premiered and all that shit. Like it was actually pretty close. And I actually watched the show online on Nickelodeon's official website because they used to have the episodes there. I don't know if they still do.
It was the only place you could watch them, from what I heard.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
The Last Airbender, I mean. Korra, actually, yeah, I watched Korra there too.
Same.
But I watched the whole first season. But then by the time the second season came around, it's TV shows are so hard to keep up with. The only way I can really watch TV shows is when they're all finished, and then I go back and I watch it all at once. And to be fair, like there's so many awesome old television shows that I've never seen. Like I told you, when I was gonna watch, what's it called? Frasier. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, technically, I should start with Cheers.
Oh my fucking God! With this shit, no, you don't need to. Even this is the same thing we had a few weeks ago when we were talking. Okay, tangent warning alert. A few weeks ago on this show, I'm trying to steer you away from going way back to the 1963 Doctor Who and watching that whole classic series before watching.
That's the only way it makes sense.
No, it doesn't. It really doesn't.
I literally started with Tennant's era in this random ass episode, and that's how I got hooked in the show. Like, you don't need to watch the classics.
Doctor Who is the kind of show you don't really continuity, schmontinuity. Like you say so yourself, they reboot the rules every episode. You don't need a point of reference, really. I mean, just pick a doctor and go from there.
But it's like it's OCD. Like I have issues sometimes where it's like it's got to be orderly. There's got to be an order.
So did that Sarah Jane that Sarah Jane episode bother you because it was an old companion from older episodes?
Yes.
And like, did you? Oh my god,
that destroyed me because I don't know who she is. Who is she? Who was she?
I
with?
didn't know who she was either.
Same.
But you get the effect. You get the effect of what they do.
No, because you're very deliberately supposed to know who she is. No. Like the fucking dog. That was clearly meant to mean something. That she had a robot dog. Who is that robot dog?
Canine. Yeah. It was a companion. They traveled in the box.
Yeah, I need to see it. I need to see it first.
Okay.
You are aware, of course, that like 90 or so of those episodes were destroyed to time.
Which is crazy to me. How? What the fuck, Britain?
There were some fires, and they were burned to a crisp.
That sucks.
Anyway, Avatar.
Yes. Also, another part. It's when he starts flying off to the ship alone, just trying to get his head straight, I guess. And he lands on the ocean, and Roku's spirit just pops up right in front of him. And I just like that little conversation they had because, again, Aang feels like he failed. He couldn't save the world and all that. And I like what Roku says, going, I should be the one to blame for this. I could have stopped this way before it started. And I'm sorry that I basically had to throw this on you. My mistakes.
The failures of a previous generation are left for the newer generation to have to clean up?
Basically.
Unspeakable.
And then we see what's her name, Yue,
yes,
again,
the moon spirit.
Yeah, we see her again, and
she pops up a whole bunch.
I think this is the second time since her death, isn't it?
Well, in this episode,
I don't know, but
are you talking about like shots of the moon itself? It ain't the same thing.
No, I'm talking about her being all moon spirit.
Okay, I felt that was funny. But like what she said, it's like you did it once, and I guess she means when during the Northern Water Tribe raiding thing. It's like you did it once, you can do it again, and he's like, yes, I can. And I love that scene where he just creates a tsunami, basically. I don't know, actually, rewatching it, was it actually him creating that giant ass wave, or was it Yue?
No, it was him.
She helped.
No,
so she helped.
No, she literally says in the dialogue,
can't do anything on his own. He has to get help from a woman.
David, what's episode 2?
Sexist.
Okay, yes, but it was cool. It was intense. The music was awesome. Blah blah blah. Okay, so episode 2 is the headband. That's a weird name, actually. So they finally make it to the Fire Nation. They're in this little, I guess, town, whatever, and they just try to blend in as much as they can. And one thing I liked is that little callback of Kuzan, if you remember. In the first season.
Yeah.
He mentions Kuzan again. And Aang accidentally ends up in a school. And you learn a bit more of, I guess, the culture of the Fire Nation.
That's cool.
I love this episode, not gonna lie. I think, to me, what makes this, I think, maybe one of the most enjoyable episodes for me is just getting to see Aang be a kid, be a regular kid. Mm-hmm. As regular as you can be, obviously, in a Nazi society that, teaches you fake news, but putting that to the side real quick. You could argue our own government, tells us fake news with how much they leave out and what they color with, wonderful patriotic propaganda. But again, another subject for another day.
Alexis.
Yes.
If you don't like America, you can get the fuck out. I don't need your communist bullshit in my country.
What happens if everybody else closes their borders because we have the #1 COVID cases in the country?
We blow up their borders. America.
Okay.
Anyway.
We pull the Fire Nation on them.
Oh, no. Okay. No, this is, I think, one of my favorite episodes, just to see Aang go through all of these wonderful, hilarious interactions with these kids who are just kids. And, you know, in a show that, you know, whose main characters are kids, but have to have a lot of the weight of the world on their shoulders every episode. It's so fun to be in this kind of environment and to, you know, see Aang explore a little bit of the Fire Nation. And I feel in some small way, it does not only re-emphasize that, you know, Aang can, maybe more than anybody else in this world, and him being the Avatar, find a way to see a lot of good or innocence in some of the most evil in the world. But in some ways it maybe is beginning to plant the seeds of Aang making the decision to not kill the Fire Lord at the end of the spoilers, at the end of the series in any way.
Should have popped the cap in his ass.
My fucking... Can you... Okay, Peter, your thoughts on this episode?
It's late. It's nice. I will say I do like how they're like that reminder of they are young. Like, yeah, other kids his age, they're just going to school.
Yeah,
you know, they can't even go to recess without being supervised, and this motherfucker's traveling all over the world fighting a war. That is interesting. Something that I wish they would have gone a little more into is the propaganda shit. They kind of touch on it. But it is interesting that they would touch on something like that in a kids show. What I love so much about these Fire Nation episodes is this sort of point of view of the Fire Nation isn't portrayed as like, oh, you know, evil, you know, monster people who just have a bloodlust for killing everyone. Like, they're definitely wrong, but they're also human beings. And I just think it's so more true to war than any other kids anything, you know, that touches on this shit. You're
in the Fire Nation, you're behind enemy lines, and you're seeing the face of the enemy. And I love that they're choosing in a lot of these stories to focus on the fact that, hey, these people, these collection of people belong basically to the bad guy, but they themselves aren't necessarily bad, and
they're just
therefore
people.
Kind of
and but they're being taught lies basically, and they really don't know what is right or wrong in this situation. And even, I mean, I'm going ahead, but Zuko even realizes that too, and like he mentions it later.
Yeah,
on,
he mentions it like
we'll get to.
all the history we learned is kind of bullshit.
Yeah,
which again, that's what happens in fascist nations.
Yeah,
they dance. It's cute. Whatever.
Yeah.
Next episode.
That was an amazing sequence. What are you talking about? That was a great dance. And the music. Come on. Come on. Give some credit.
Aang decides to throw something.
Assumed to get so much pushback just because they had a fucking Footloose episode. Jeez.
It really was Footloose, huh?
Yeah. These darn kids shaking their hips. They're inviting the devil in.
Rewatching that episode and made me think of what you said in the first episode of season 2. Like, this was a response to the whole Avatar state thing. I feel like this episode was kind of like a response to Zutara or something, because this was literally the beginning of like, this is the beginning of like,
were ships as crazy back then? I don't know. I know fandoms were...
There always are!
Yeah.
There always are!
I mean, I know fandoms were that crazy back then because, you know, the Star Wars fandom and how they freaked the fuck out at the prequels. So, like, yeah, fandoms could exist that crazy. But, like, ships? I don't know.
Well, I mean, before that, though, people worshipping celebrities. So I'm guessing can still translate to characters still.
Yeah, but just, like, the nerd culture aspect. Because I feel like shipping... didn't. Fuck, I have no idea. I'm talking completely out my ass. I could be 100% wrong. But I feel like the act of like shipping two characters you really like and want them to get together is more recent in that, like, when society started to not frown on, or frown less on, girls enjoying things in spaces that were considered to be predominantly male oriented or boy oriented, that's when you started to see more shit like shipping. You know what I mean?
Forget that took a while for that to become okay. I feel maybe our early years maybe was the very tail end of that breaking down.
I think we grew up in a weird
transitional period.
Yeah, I think we grew up in a weird transitional period where it was, you know, new world, kind of more accepting, but also not so much because the parents a little different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think we grew up in weird transitional area.
Mm-hmm. No, but I mean, the reason why I think shipping was always a thing is because I was kind of for it. Like I didn't like,
but like
scream into the heavens, being like, you know, Aang and Katara deserve to be together or anything like that.
The Tumblr. Well, actually, hold on. My beliefs may be completely shattered because I remember I sent you guys the video of like fucking Comic-Con where they showed, I think it was the second half of season 3. And boy oh boy, the trailer, not the whole show, but the second half of the season 3 trailer, and the screaming and people were going crazy. And there was a girl when they showed like Zuko say like, my goal will be to help the Avatar. It was like, about time, you know. So if it's like, if shit was crazy at that point, there was probably some shipping going on. Yeah, but also the Last Airbender has always, more so than I think any other property like it, had equal girl and boy fandom and viewer base.
Especially, I think maybe the show was one of those occasions where the demographic wasn't skewed to one gender over the other.
Yeah.
It was very much made with the intention, I think, to appeal to everyone. And it helps that, you know, shows, I think, that go out of their way, or films that go out of their way to provide not just one or two, but a robust cast of strong female characters, which this show did in spades, I feel. That in and of itself goes a long way, not just with representation, but to appealing to different demographics that could also be, of course, you know, financially profitable when you do that. Unlike some executives that still work in today's industry that think that you can't have girl characters be bad guys because that won't sell toys.
Now you're calling out Marvel.
I'm calling out not Kevin Feige, Ike Perlmutter at Marvel, who did that.
Yeah. That's so, and that shit's recent. Just like,
yeah,
girls,
very fucking recent.
I don't know. Heard they have
no. I mean, and he didn't want to do Captain Marvel for the same reason, because he was like, girls don't see movies, literally. And then he's also a racist. He didn't want Black Panther to be made at all, because like, black people going to the theaters, that's not going to happen. I mean, this is well documented, by the way, just to be clear about that. So, you know.
Well, I mean, though, he's an ardent Trump supporter.
It's funny though, he says that like girls don't buy action figures. If you guys remember the Cartoon Network show Young Justice, they canceled that show because only girls were buying the action figures.
See, this is why.
Wow. I didn't know that.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm getting way off track here, but I don't give a fuck. This is why television is so fucking weird to me. Because I feel like streaming, it's like, are people watching it? Awesome. Like, I don't care who's watching it. But there are shows that are extremely successful, but if they're not hitting the demographics that the heads want them to hit, they'll just cancel them. And I've seen that response to a lot of shows, like cartoon shows, where it's like, it got really good ratings, but it, like, I don't know, more girls than boys saw it, or like the demographics were skewed too much. Like, not enough boys saw it. A lot of girls saw it, and even a lot of boys, but they wanted a higher percentage of boys to see it. So because of that,
we're
it's
just
canceled.
having this discussion.
It's so weird,
Peter. We were just having this discussion on To the Table with Tron Uprising and the creation of Disney XD, because they wanted to appeal more to boys, and they wanted to spur up more toy sales from boys in particular.
But it's like, if, but then that goes to this belief that, like, well, girls don't buy toys. But I think if the girls like it, they will buy it. If anyone's stopping them from buying it, it's probably their parents that are like, "Oh no, this is for boys. Put that away." And then that leads to gender roles and the whole thing.
I mean, bringing it back to the world of Avatar, when we cover Korra, and we're gonna have a sequel series to these episodes covering the Korra seasons as well, and some of us it'll be the first time watching that. But from what I don't know the ins and outs, but from what I recall, Nickelodeon did that show dirty, and for reasons that still I don't know are clear in terms of how they chose to air. I think the last season was aired on the website. It wasn't even broadcast on TV.
Yeah, I think it was the last 2 seasons they were aired on the website.
Nickelodeon does not know what it has. Okay.
Yeah.
Nickelodeon, if they had played their cards right, would have a massive franchise that rivals Star Wars and Marvel and all the greats right now if they actually knew what they had on their hands. Like, I genuinely believe that. Like, we'd be having Avatar movies in the same way that we have Star Wars movies or some shit like that. There'd be multiple series. There'd be books.
To be a little bit fair to Nickelodeon and Paramount, part of me thinks they did see it, and that's why they tried to do movies, but they had the awful sense to hire the worst person imaginable to do the movie.
But also, they were just going to remake the TV show into a movie, which
is what Netflix is doing now. I mean,
both are bad. They just keep fucking up. I mean, that was going to be my ultimate point. They're trying to do it again with Netflix, but it's like, stop. You can do so much more with this property.
Oh my God, there's so much.
There's so much you can do. There's so many.
I mean,
avatars.
like, imagine. Look at the Disney approach and how they milk dry anything of like an IP that they have. Like, let's say, for example, if Disney owned this particular property on Disney Plus, there'd be on Disney Plus. You know how they're doing with Marvel? There'd be an Avatar Kyoshi show. There'll be a Roku miniseries. There'd be like all the fucking avatars,
animated Momo shorts. Okay.
Yep.
You could ride Appa in the new
at Disneyland.
Actually, Nickelodeon actually
Dumbo. I'm sorry, wait. They replaced the flying elephants of Dumbo with the flying sky bisons. They do an overlay for a couple of months.
Dumbo will be deemed racist, so they'll replace it.
Oh fuck!
No, I do remember Nickelodeon doing something like that with the Last Airbender, at least, because I remember they were having like these short little mini episodes, but like if you remember them, they really mess with like the characters. Like they had like big heads, small bodies.
I think I remember,
like,
and they were like
around.
Even more cartoonish.
Yeah,
I think
so they did something like that with, but just the Last Airbender though, and but nothing else. No, what you guys are saying, like Yoshi miniseries or.
Well, like, again, we've landed on the side that for the good of the show, it's best that they ended with season 3. But wasn't it Paramount and Nickelodeon that sacrificed a 4th season for the movie?
Yeah.
Right? Is that
that's like what I heard.
The mentality that you had to sacrifice anything in the first place with a property like that? I mean, why?
Mm-hmm.
What else did you have going on for you in 2009 or whenever that was? Fanboy Chum Chum, whatever that thing was, or Planet Sheen, shows that were canceled like in less than a season.
I remember Planet Sheen.
Same. Oh my god, that was so dumb.
Like animated programs, really, I think went downhill for the most part across all of those cartoon, skewing channels like Nickelodeon and Disney Channel in favor of like the iCarlys or the Hannah Montanas. Those things really exploded.
Mm-hmm.
Like from the first season of Korra, it wasn't Last Airbender level, but it was still really good. And I guess my thing is like Korra is basically supposed to be set in the timeline of, if you were to compare it to our world, 1910, early 1920s, like just at the edge of a technological boom that's starting to spread out to the rest of the world. So you theoretically could even move forward several avatars and have one that's set in somewhat modern day or even a super futuristic world. Or you could go all the way back in all these old conflicts with all these old avatars, because it's insinuated there's been a lot. I don't know, is there an official number? But like,
I guessed because of Korra, but I mean,
who knows really? I mean, that's just
that's why that's endless main characters that you could have their own stories and adventure and how they each brought balance to the world in their own time. Okay, we're supposed to talk about a show or something.
Yes.
Episode 3. Oh, yeah. Real quick. Aang really knows how to dance, and who would have thought? That kind of came out of nowhere, but also fun. So episode 3.
Mm-hmm. Episode 3 is The Painted Lady. The gang ends up in basically like a little village in the middle of a lake, I guess. And they realize just how like messed up their village is because of what the Fire Nation is trying to do for the war, basically. And Katara decides to help them out as much as she can. And yeah, I mean, I think this is just like another episode of like the spoils of war, basically, and how it's not just affecting all the other nations, but also their own. And this is also just kind of like another. This is kind of like what's the word I'm trying to say?
Example.
Well, I'm trying to talk about Katara and how like she like kind of like reintroducing herself as like wanting to help like as people as much as she can.
I was actually gonna mention it real quick. I think I'll help you out with that one. First of all, cool episode.
Yeah,
not my favorite by any means, but it was nice.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, though, to kind of jump off on what you were saying.
Here.
Well, thank you for saying that, because now I'm going to continue the thought that David had, and that is, it's episodes like this that really make me scratch my head why people hate Katara. You're talking about the closest thing to a literal saint as you can get, especially in how it's portrayed
she's a Mary
here,
Sue.
where she's like,
that's why.
Where she's like, she literally prevents everyone from going forward in the group so she can heal people with her abilities.
Mm-hmm.
There are two kinds of female characters: bitch
or
Mary Sue. There is no in between. That is the way a lot of people view female characters.
Mm-hmm. What about Toph?
Toph?
Mm-hmm.
She's tough, so she's cool.
Yeah, she doesn't count because she was originally supposed to be a guy.
Yeah.
So. That's the thing, right? Like those kind of characters, I guess the tomboys, if you will, they fall into the quote unquote badass category.
Yeah.
Like, oh, they're just part of the guys or one of the guys and everything. Like, right? That's kind of the mentality.
The issue
that's
with Katara is she isn't badass. Like, she doesn't have an attitude like, oh, I don't give a fuck, you know? Like, she still very much has a feminine nature to her.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Well, you saw that in Tales of Boxing Say, where she finally like has makeup basically for the first time.
Makeup and that stuff. And then I don't know what it is. It's I do think there is this weird, definitely misogynistic thing where people just critique female characters differently. And I don't mean to get us off topic again, but I saw a really good video on the character of Skylar from Breaking Bad, and the way that like it was a YouTube video, and it was discussing the ways in which the fans absolutely despise her.
I remember that.
Yeah,
I remember being confused why people hated her. Like, really?
You're talking about Walter White's wife.
Yeah, the wife.
And people
maybe referring. Wait, hold on. Maybe referring to her as the wife is not the like that. Maybe we shouldn't refer to her as the wife. I mean,
if you don't know who she is,
I'm not good with names, though. That's why I'm
saying right. Just to be clear, yeah.
Skylar was
Anna Gunn, right? That's her. That's the actor's name.
Oh, I don't know.
I'll look it up. I think it is.
It's amazing
Anna
that I
Gunn.
even remembered Skylar.
Like Bosco the bear from last episode.
Bosco just left the first season. I was so disappointed. The first episode, I mean, of season 3, I was so disappointed. Bosco's gone.
Yeah, the actor's name is Anna Gunn. She played Walter White's wife, Skylar, on Breaking Bad.
And like, this is a real thing that I've seen before. Like, I remember The Walking Dead. Do you remember who was
Was it Lori?
Lori. Like
Rick Grimes' wife. Yeah. People hated her too, huh?
I think the actress even got booed at like Comic-Con.
No
fucking way.
Holy shit.
And,
oh no.
And it's so crazy to me that I really do think there's like just this underlying level of misogyny that maybe people don't even realize when it's there, but it just seems like female characters, if you don't like the character, it's like extreme hatred. Whereas a lot of these decisions the characters make, if a male character makes those kind of decisions, it's like like the fact that the term Mary Sue is even thrown around a lot. Like, I know I've seen so many movies and TV shows where literally the main character is a gruff, beard, badass guy, and his whole character is, I am tough badass. But there's no phrase for that because like, who cares? Yeah, the tough bad guy, okay, or tough good guy. But Mary Sue, you're just trying to make tough women force agenda down throats. Da 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 da. It's so crazy and it's so weird. And yeah, I'm gonna say it. I think Katara's another example of that because any issues that you might want to throw at her, I can throw that same shit at Aang. But oh no, all those Aang defenders are gonna come out of the woodwork and be like, "How dare you? He's the Avatar."
I think it's also important to remind people that the term Mary Sue has been around for a while, but it was really, I feel, given a catalyst of popularity by Max Landis on an infamous appearance on Movie Fights, who I keep bringing up, who, by the way, has been since accused of sexual assault and harassment. So that, I think, tracks.
You bring him up to point that out.
Yeah.
Remember this as well, though. In the same vein of those characters, even though now they would kill people for even the slightest bit of criticism, but remember how a lot of these Star Wars fans hated Ahsoka Tano when she was first introduced?
Yeah.
Like, beyond hated that character.
Oh my god!
Because she was a teenage girl, and she she acted like one, and I think that's what it really came down to. But then she became more badass, and I guess it was okay. Yeah, I don't know. It's not good, and I just think it's getting worse, if that's possible. Like, it's one.
Well, it is in a way, because think about it. We're now at a point where, like, we're having numerous big blockbuster tentpole films not only being greenlit but being released with females helming them. This year was supposed to be the year, like, Black Widow, Mulan, and Wonder Woman 2. It's rare to have that many big blockbuster movies being led by a woman, by a female actor, and with such fanfare, right? But it almost just feels like we're at that point where any kind of female-led movie, or let's say an overall female majority cast, that somehow is inherently political, and the alt-right comes at them, and then, just because they dare to make a movie with women.
Every character is under extreme scrutiny. Because the goal is to expose all these female characters as bad writing and bad this and bad that. Yeah.
Even before the movie comes out, though,
yes.
It's like,
yeah, there's a big controversy.
It's not that just with women, though. It's like, as soon as they announce, I mean, I know it's been like an ongoing problem, but as soon as they announce, like, it's a female-led movie, or it's a gay-led movie, and they just go, "Oop, it's gonna suck."
Yeah, I mean, I do think it's weird, because like, no one says male led, no one says straight led. Like, I do think on some part it is like the media, because they know what they're doing. They know they're kicking up some dirt and getting clicks at the same time. When they're like, new Marvel, all female led.
Often at the expense of their own critics and reporters, who are harassed, by the way, by a lot of these people. So I mean, just to be fair about that, we forget the biggest one. I mean, maybe is that why a lot of Avatar fans hate The Legend of Korra, which so happens to star a female Avatar?
Which, oh my god, it's so dumb. I mean, I'll just say the beginning. So, the first episode of Korra, she's literally like
a toddler,
4, 5 toddler, and she's able to bend 3 elements: fire, water, and earth. And she's that's like,
I'm the Avatar.
Big. Yeah, she says that, I'm the Avatar. Deal with it. It's like, and that's already like people going,
"Oh my god,
Mary
that must have been sacrilegious then to Avatar fans. Like, how can a little girl at age 3 know how to, like, it's the same thing we see with Star Wars, right? Like, how can, like, this, like, newcomer, like, best a Jedi Master? It stems from a lot of, I think, idiotic reasonings when it comes to these kinds of fiction, if I'm going to be real with you.
I was going to say, with Korra, and again, I haven't seen it, but just from what I've heard, I feel like it's not necessarily misogyny. I feel, well, maybe there's a part of it, I don't know, but it's that same thing of, like, wanting the old thing to be the same thing, but it can't be the same thing. It's a new thing, if that makes sense.
I think for Korra it is misogyny, because she has character development throughout the 4 seasons.
Yeah.
But they still stick to how she was in the first season, which is like, she's like going against everyone. She's trying to do her own thing. And it's like, that's all they see throughout the 4 seasons, but there's Isugo, who's the villain really in the first season, and go, wow, what amazing character development by the 3rd season. But they don't decide to see that with Korra in throughout her journey. And I think it is misogyny because of it, because they don't want to see the growth.
David and I know this very well because we're big fans of this. But
I thought you were gonna say because we're women.
No. I mean, I was trying to build up to another example of this kind of misogyny. But look at the dust that was unnecessarily kicked up for wrong reasons. Obviously, when they cast a woman to be the Doctor on Doctor Who, Jodie Whittaker.
Oh,
like
yeah, like like I said it many times. Like she comes in, and all of a sudden they're like, "This ain't the Doctor." Nope.
Immediately,
immediately,
how the Doctor can't be a woman. Like literally, we had a lot of pushback from
because the Doctor has rules.
But then they're also like, but then they're also like blaming her for the show being bad, as if like,
well, yeah, because
I literally heard it before
narrative.
in a review.
That fits their narrative. That's what they want. They want to be able to see. They made it woke and added a woman, so it's bad because they want woman and then going bad to be inherent. They want you to think every time that happens, it will 100% be bad.
I literally heard that. It's like them saying like, see, they're trying to be woke, and so now it just made it seem bad. Like it's literally what you just said, and I literally heard that in the review, and I'm like, oh my god, no, the writer's just shit.
Yeah, you can be. It's so weird to me because most of what these people love is quote unquote woke. Star Wars is woke. The original Star Wars. Fucking George Lucas was a 70s era. Was a hippie. Last Airbender is the definition of woke. Fucking the Doctor, I assume is woke. Is the Doctor bi? I was gonna ask that before, right? Okay, but I mean, like, yeah, like his whole thing. It's really offensive. Their whole thing.
Do you see? Wait, the Doctor is. He can be sexual if he wants to be. And because he's mostly been a male throughout most of the history of the show, it's mainly been with him and women. There's really been no kind.
Well, I was going to ask, now with the female Doctor, is like, does she have a love interest?
No.
Okay.
But like,
not that we know of.
Well, what I remember is there was an episode where during Capaldi's run where he was talking about the Master. And so far, the Master, who's like, the Master is another Time Lord.
Right, that's right.
And he was always a man from the beginning, and then they finally turned him into a woman, and she calls herself Missy. And one of the Doctor's companions said, like, "Oh, who is this person to you?" And he says, "Oh, he was my first man crush." And like the companion who was really surprised by that, going like, "Wait, what? You're into men?" And he's like, "Well, yeah, we transform into women and men, so like we don't fucking care about our gender."
That's cool, but it's one of those things where it's like, but now you only show anything sexual between them now that the Master is a girl. And one of my worries is that, like, oh, now that the Doctor is a girl, that now the Doctor will be interested in men. Now that, and it's like,
oh, don't worry, they're not doing anything remotely interesting in that realm. They're not with it, so. But we're not even at that level.
Okay.
Which I think for David and I is disappointing. On that aspect alone, you think that the fact that the Doctor would be a woman would change the dynamics of the show, but it really hasn't, and that's been the most disappointing part of it. That it's not at all different.
I guess my point is, I like the painted lady, and I think like the spirit is really cool.
Yes, I agree. We should move on. Episode 4, David.
Yes. The painted lady though. That ongoing joke of the episode with Doc, Shu.
Oh God, yes.
The dude with the hats and all that, and I like the way the episode ended where they clean up the whole lake and you actually see the real painted lady spirit.
You know what? I wonder if low-key these creators are trying to like, in small ways, show how damaged the world is after the war, because we come across a lot of nut jobs, don't we, in these small towns?
It's called being quirky.
Yeah.
I think that I think this situation in this episode, I think, qualifies as a mental disease. But okay,
It might be something in the water.
I mean, it was dirty as hell, that water. So maybe it literally brought up a two-headed fish. So
2 for the price of 1.
Yep. Okay, so episode 4, it's Sokka's master. So basically, the episode starts off, they're like stargazing, they're seeing all these shooting stars, and all of a sudden, a freaking meteor just lands right by them, and they're saying that the fire that it caused is gonna get towards the town, and so Aang, Katara, and Toph, they're being badasses, putting it out and everything, and Sokka is just like, what do I do? Like, rewatching it, like, I mean, since the first time watching it, I always noticed that episode as him being like completely useless in that scene, really, and like you really feel bad for him and all that.
I think this is also an answer to like everyone else has something to do. What does Sokka contribute?
It's a continuing problem, I think, from the very first episode of this show, is that they have to keep finding new and interesting ways to give Sokka a character and by giving him a purpose. And they've done a good job in terms of like him being the ideas guy or him being the team leader and everything. But in this sense, you were saying, David? I'm sorry?
Well, I was going to say, like, usually in other episodes before, while the other benders are being badasses, he's the one that's kind of helping everyone else around. Like, so while they're saving the day, he's the one that's leading the people who can't bend or can't protect themselves, like, out of danger. So, like, he is just being the constant leader. And it's just that in that moment in this episode.
Oh, wait, I just thought of something. How would the character of Sokka be received with him not being a bender, with the same dynamics of the team in play, but if he was a girl? How would the fan base react to that?
So annoying.
I wonder.
She doesn't even contribute to anything.
Yeah. No, I saw that I'm watching a show, Stargirl. And so the main character, she has like this magical staff. She can do like all these badass. Actually, I still recommend watching it because they do really cool stuff with that magical staff, like the fight scenes and all that. But then you have another character who it's basically like the Black Panther suit, and another guy who has super strength. But you have this one character who just has these goggles, and it has like an AI function that can give you all this information that it has, but also can hack into stuff. And I saw a reviewer going, she is completely useless. The goggles do everything. But like so much anger coming out of it. And like,
it's a little
that's
weird.
exactly how people would react to Sokka if he was a woman. Like, it's the same complaints, only the anger is like 10 times bigger. That's really all it would be. So
yeah. Initial impressions. This is an amazing episode. I think it's actually one of my favorite episodes for Sokka. The part about him and why he's so likable as a character, even, with the exterior of, kind of being annoying in some areas. I mean, not in a bad way, but just, his personality. But he's very, in some ways, innocent. And with him, like, him trying to impress his master and, like, showing him how creative he was. I mean, it's funny that some of the scenes where the master's like, yeah, you're really not good at some of these things that you should be good at, but you excel at these other areas, and it makes you much more of a robust individual. I think it's just a great way to reinforce Sokka's importance to the show and to the team. Maybe it could qualify as one of those episodes that was made, because of fans saying, well, Sokka doesn't have much to do. But I mean, I thought it was a damn good episode. Yeah. And another aspect to this world is, well, and we've seen this happen, but like in a world of benders, what do the other fighters do?
I agree.
So we have
with Amon, destroy all benders.
That's a villain in Korra.
I figured, but I'm not. I don't understand the question, and I'm not responding to it. Peter, your turn.
Oh, Arrested Development. They're also taking off an episode due to insensitive nature. Good episode. Good episode. I like. They needed a good Sokka episode. Yeah, I like.
Okay, so one thing I want to bring up, or two things, but the first one is, I feel it's just a theory, but I feel Iroh took Zuko to what's the master's name? Oof.
The master. I don't know.
Yeah, the sword master. He took Zuko to the sword master to teach him how to fight with swords. I'm just theorizing because Zuko, like, he doesn't feel like he's a great firebender and all that, but also like 3 years that he was gone, he was still in the basics in the beginning of the show. But like,
right. But he's always been kind of a master swordsman.
Yeah. So I'm just, again, it's a theory because he's part of the White Lotus, and like you find out later on, or no,
that actually tracks. That's true. They're both members of the White Lotus. They know each other.
Every master you meet is a member of the White Lotus in this show.
True. But also when Zuko alone, he's talking to that little kid and he's telling him like, these swords are an extension of yourself and all that blah blah blah. And then this episode, that guy says the exact same thing. And I feel like Iroh took him there just so he can like teach him some level of skill, some other skill that he could learn to kind of protect himself instead of like not relying so much on fire bending. You know, it's just like a little theory that I had watching it. And then the other part is I saw this great like little essay someone made about Sokka, saying that he learned all battle styles from each nation. So like he was from the Water Tribe. He knows how to use whatever that sword thing, that club, whatever it is. He already knows how to do that. Then he goes to Kyoshi Island, where he basically learns like a different form of earthbending fighting style, non-bending fighting style. And then when he goes to the Air Temple, what was it, Eastern Air Temple, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no fighting style for them for non-benders, but he still kind of learns the ways of like avoiding confrontational fighting and just kind of like fight from a distance.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what he learned. And so then now he's learning a Fire Nation non-bending style of fighting, and it just kind of like reinvigorates what Iroh says, like understanding others, the other elements, and the other nations will help you become whole. And again, this like episode really brings that to light, and that he knows everything that he's learned up to now. Basically, it's how he learned how to like you become a sword master in one day in this episode.
And also to add another bit of a story point being added to what we had discussed earlier in the episode was, yet again, we're seeing another example of a face of the Fire Nation in a very human light. Again, humanizing the peoples of this nation even more so. Mm-hmm. It does a really good job of distinguishing between the citizens, obviously, and the Nazi leadership of the Fire Nation. And everything. But yeah, I think wonderful, wonderful episode all around. And yeah.
So episode 5 is called The Beach.
Oh, that's the one I remember. God.
Yeah, that's the one everyone remembers and absolutely loves.
Let's go to the beach.
Oh God. This episode, it's all Zuko, May, Ty Lee, and Azula. They go to, what's it called? I can't remember the name of the beach, but yeah, they take like a little mini vacation.
Ember Island.
Ember Island. There it is. Yes. They take like a little mini vacation, and basically just like everything comes out in their group. And I think it's kind of like a cool way of saying how dysfunctional they are compared to like the main characters of the show.
They're a dysfunctional family type group. Similar.
Mm-hmm.
It's Team Avatar versus Team Zuko.
Yeah.
But it is like humanizing these villains. It's so crazy because, you have these people, and especially Azula, who are like these terrifying, evil villains that are chasing them the whole time. And then you have this episode where they're teenagers on a beach. And it's so crazy to just view them in that light and pull back and see them that way. And it's like, oh yeah, that's what they are. And then of course Azula trying to be a normal human is just amazing.
And off-putting at the same time.
Yeah.
It's an interesting episode from a conceptual standpoint. I wonder just the origins of this episode and how it came about. I think it's wonderful that especially for Zuko, because this is the big moment in the episode is with his arc this season is he just comes out and says that he's just more unhappy than he has been the entire series.
Mm-hmm.
And he's basically gotten everything that he wants, and he's more miserable now than ever. So it pushes that forward. But yeah, I mean, this is a show that doesn't do many episodes without Team Avatar leading it. Like some rare examples like Zuko alone, but maybe that was it.
Mm-hmm.
So this was just it does stand out because of how different it is. But yeah, I think this is one of the stronger ones, especially of this first half of the season and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
No, yeah. I like this episode. Again, we got a big moment for Zuko finally. We're finally seeing how he feels about this whole thing coming back home and everything. And that bit of Azula that what she brings up is saying that her mom always found her crazy. I was like, she's absolutely right. But I mean, what did she have to say in my face? And then I actually
that line is far better than what you gave it credit for. She was like, when Azula says, she was right, of course, but it still hurt.
Yeah. I like Ty Lee's story actually the most because,
she's hardly in this season. You notice that? She kind of dropped off the face of the earth this season.
Ty Lee?
Yeah. She was kind of like in maybe 2-3 episodes for all of season 3?
Oh my god, I always get them confused. I meant May.
May, yeah.
May's the one with the knives, right?
Yes, Zuko's girlfriend.
Yeah, I mean,
what is it with you guys and names? Jesus, fuck. Both of you get some names just confused.
Names are hard, and I will not act like they aren't.
Yeah, I meant to say I liked May's story better because she says it like her life wasn't hard at all. She basically got whatever she wanted, but her parents are super, super strict with her. Basically the opposite of Toph. Well, not the opposite. Like, they had similar lives. It's just...
They are one and the same.
Mm-hmm.
But they're just on opposite ends of the conflict. Born into different nations. Different.
Exactly.
But same. But different.
Yeah. It was just really interesting from her. But also, we forgot to mention... Zuko hired an assassin to go find Aang, and now we see him in action in this episode.
I prefer to forget it.
Why?
I'll be honest. I prefer to forget it. It was the least interesting aspect, maybe, of the entire series. By that point, I was like so fed up with it. I just prefer to block out it ever happened. Yeah, it's a cool design. It's a cool design, but like,
I need to chill.
I don't got time for it. I don't got time for his shit, so I block out his existence. You two can talk about him.
I mean, yeah, he is kind of like meh, but like a really badass character at the same time. I just kind of like that they showed a different aspect, I guess. I actually didn't know it at the time, but that it is a different form of firebending, what he's doing, like making explosions out of his head. But I just kind of like that bit of detail though of when he does like tries to explode something. You hear that bit of like going in the air as if like he's actually like burning the air around him instead of like shooting fire. But
I guess it is a reminder that there are more bounty hunters in this world, you know, like June back in season 1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's Star Wars. Okay. Yet another example of it being Star Wars. Gotcha.
Yeah. And then it was just a pretty badass fight, and I want to bring up this scene because I think it comes about later on, but that part though when the assassin shoots at Aang and he kind of like just blows like a shit ton of air towards it, and the fire blows the opposite way. Do you know which part I'm talking about?
I blocked it out. Peter, can you answer that question?
I have no idea what he's talking about.
It's when him and Aang are fighting, and like, well, basically like he like tries to explode Aang, but he uses airbending to like make the fire go the opposite way, basically blocking off the fire away from him. And it's like I'm just bringing that up because I feel like it kind of comes back later on in another episode, and I'll bring it up later. But yeah, it was just a cool little action moment. Anything else about this episode? Nah.
Yeah.
We're on episode 6, and that's the Avatar and the Fire Lord, where basically Roku calls to Aang in his dream, saying, "Hey, go visit the island that I lived at, and I'm going to tell you how this whole war started," which is a great episode. Wow.
I like that.
Phenomenal. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, he tells us that Roku and Sozin were best friends growing up, and basically their lives, their responsibilities in this world tore them apart. That's basically what happened with them. And yeah, so and the reason why Roku told Aang about this his past was because he wanted him to learn that, hey, not every person in the Fire Nation is bad, but also they don't start off bad. And basically that's what we've been seeing throughout these episodes with everyone in the Fire Nation.
You mean people are layered? They're just not black and white?
Yeah.
Impossible.
Who would have thought?
Yet another example of the parallels between Aang and Zuko here, because again, another episode where both of them not only find out are big moments for them, but they also a revelation in this episode, which I think it's likened somewhat to the whole thing with oh my god, am I forgetting the names of the characters already?
Ain't
yeah,
so easy,
I'm not even
is
gonna...
it now, bitch?
Well, because it ended so badly. Jon Snow being a Targaryen reveal at the end of Game of Thrones. With the fact that Zuko is the direct descendant of both Fire Lord Sozin and Avatar Roku. Which I feel... I don't know why that doesn't come up again. Because it's a big reveal at the end of this episode that Zuko is related to Roku as well. But that's not mentioned ever again, at least in this show.
Aang is technically Zuko's great grandfather.
Basically.
Technically, but then like Aang isn't Roku. I mean, they're the same spiritual entity. But okay, but do the laws of
the spirit
I don't know.
laws are very weird. I don't know them.
I don't know. I really don't know. Yeah.
Well, I mean, what do you mean? Like, how would you want it to be brought up again, though?
I'm not being critical of overall how the show ended. I'm just like the episode treats it like this grand reveal that Zuko is this direct descendant between Roku and Sozin, and that's meant to really kick off. Excuse me, Zuko's place in the story and him getting his redemption arc, but I I guess I don't know. It's weird that it's never mentioned again. At least when he, becomes friends with Aang and everything.
I'll put it this way. You compared it to the whole Tigerian thing. That was very clearly meant because the whole show is all about who is going to sit on that throne.
Well, we know who it was.
Yeah, so you really think that, him being a Targaryen is really going to mean something. It's going to matter. And then it just doesn't. Like, at all.
I mean, it was supposed to. That's how it was treated. Yeah. And by all intents and purposes, it was going to. But then it didn't. At the end,
it's just like... anyway, but here, he already has a claim to the throne of the...
That's right.
Of the Fire Nation. It's just, I think the revelation is just played more of for him to realize, like, he always viewed the Avatar as his mortal enemy, but the blood of his mortal enemy flows through him as well. And just this sort of realization of he didn't fully understand what exactly it was that he was doing.
I agree with that. I agree with that, and I'm not being critical as far as the story aspect. It was just something that was in the back of my mind, but it also creates another not explanation, but it kind of reveals why for so many episodes we've had Zuko and Aang's storylines so interlinked. They're basically family.
Yeah. Well, they also say that one thing.
I mean, with how many avatars there's been, the whole fucking nation is probably family. Let's be real.
Well, it also brings. It's not just because he's related to Roku, but it's also because, like Roku says, some friendships can last through generations.
Can transcend lifetimes.
Lifetimes.
Because Roku ended up being a friend of Monk Gyatso, who is was Aang's best friend basically at the Air Temple.
Yeah. So that's another reason why their lives interconnected, basically.
And it goes back to that's something that they push a lot in the show, is that everything's connected. We are all interlinked.
Isn't that Marvel's mantra?
But they make
their
it, but they like stretch it.
Money, 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 money. Money.
But their interconnectedness, it's a real stretch how they make it work. Whereas this one, like, it makes sense. For Last Airbender, it makes complete sense.
Also, this is the first time we get to hear Iroh say anything in this season or be in an episode. So, which I feel like behind the scenes, I feel like it was stated that they delayed a lot of Iroh's introduction to the season because, of course, there was the passing of Mako, who was the original voice actor of Iroh. And they wanted to, I guess, pay respect. They also probably were already in production before they officially cast somebody new, it seems, maybe?
Yeah, you could tell there was probably a scramble of like, oh, fuck, what do we do? What do we do? And then they found a voice, probably.
Who was apparently, I don't remember his name, maybe David, you have it on the cast credits, but apparently the person that they found to replace Mako was his direct understudy. Because he also replaced Mako, because Mako does the voice of I don't know if you know this character, Aku, from Samurai Jack.
Oh.
And when they brought back Samurai Jack for the 5th and final season, of course, the same person who replaced the same person who replaced Mako in this show did it on that show as well.
He does a good job, because I don't remember ever noticing that big of a difference.
No, yeah, I've seen it. I've seen the show 6 times, and every time I always forget that there's a different person voicing Iroh.
What I do notice is there is a different cadence to which he says the words. And it's not... I do notice it, but I think it's pretty great.
I feel he speaks less old man-like.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, there's also a lot less dialogue with Ira this season, like, so it's just not much to say. But yeah. Great episode.
Yeah, and also I always get no wait, hold on. I always get surprised that Ron Perlman voices Sozin in this episode. Like every time I watch it, I'm like, oh Ron Perlman, he voices Sozin. you can look it up.
Well, that said, this show's canceled.
What?
You love Ron Perlman.
I do.
Peter.
That's great.
You really couldn't tell? Like,
no, I mean, not really.
Oh,
Ron Perlman has a very distinct voice.
Yeah,
I could tell Mark Hamill from like the beginning of the show, but no, I couldn't tell. It was Ron
Mark
Perlman.
Hamill from
what
the
I
beginning.
did,
that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, they did. Well, he's a lifelong voice actor. He's big in that community from a whole bunch of different shows. So Sozin's reasoning for starting the war, I'm not going to say it was contrived, but it's like almost out of nowhere. It's like, does he say that he has this vision? Like, what if we could spread our greatness to the other nations? Mm-hmm. And it's like, where did that come from?
Yeah.
I mean, I buy it to where we are with the show, and it's not the biggest of things, but it's like, okay, that's how the war began. But again, most wars begin with bullshit. I mean, let's just be real. So
it's very just this fascist type thing of like, we are so great, and the way we spread our greatness is, the way we share it with others is to conquer others. It's a bullshit reasoning for these type of people to conquer the world, and that's really what it is. And it's very true to real world fascism, I believe. It always begins with, we are the chosen people, we are the great. We must bring order to the rest of the world, that kind of shit.
Well, when in like actual history, when they were first starting to like go around the world basically, and they go into like these places where they're still living in huts basically.
Oh yeah, they
tents,
take over.
And they take over because they think, oh, we can give you medicine, we
are
you
the
houses,
civilized, we shall bring you civilization.
And that's basically what, and like I think you said it, Peter, that they were basically beginning their industrial revolution basically with them. And that's kind of, I wish they kind of brought this out more, but I think that's what he meant. Probably.
I think that's what he was hitting on.
Their greatness.
They were on the cusp of industrial revolution that no other nation had at that point. And I believe the reason why technology is so advanced by the time of Korra is because the Fire Nation shared their industrialization secrets with the rest of the world after the war. And it kind of, in the same way that the Industrial Revolution just sped up society in that way, that's what happened here in the world of the Avatar. Do they have like a word for like their world?
The universe? I think they call it Earth.
Do they call it Earth?
Yeah, I think at one point they call it Earth. I think it's just their version of Earth. Like the Middle Kingdom, right? In Lord of the Rings.
They call it Middle Earth in the Lord of the Rings.
But it basically is Earth. It's just
but they add a
version
of
Earth.
Oh. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Also, a bit of a cool storytelling. So when you first see Roku and Sozin, they're having like a little sparring match, I guess you can say. And Roku, he trips on a vine. Sozin saves him, but then ultimately lets him go. And that's basically foreshadowing how Roku died.
Yeah.
So a piece of nature gets in his way. Roku saves him, but then ultimately betrays him in the end. Which, I know, it's pretty cool actually, honestly. Yeah. Anything else?
That's it.
Okay, cool. Next episode, number 7, The Runaway. Toph gets into some trouble, and her and Katara have some beef, and
they always got beef.
They go up against Combustion Man again, the assassin.
Alexis's
not
favorite.
Oh yeah, fuck him. Not to like, beat a dead horse again, but like another example of Katara just gets so taken out of context here. Like, I mean, I think the episode does a good job of like, Toph really revealing how much she actually appreciates Katara, because Katara is providing kind of a need for her in the absence of her family.
Mm-hmm.
And you see the appreciation of people like Katara, who kind of single-handedly can coordinate a group of people who are otherwise clueless into being better than what they would otherwise. I connect to her in such a big way in that regard. So there's that. And, I mean, of course, she's trying to take care of everybody, and she gets called a bitch by even, I think, Toph at some point almost. No, he doesn't call her a bitch, but, I mean, it was kind of inferred at that point. So
yeah, basically.
There's that.
Yeah, I think I'm going back on how I feel in Katara.
Fuck off, Peter. Well, how was this episode received? I mean, it was a good episode, right? I mean,
it was fine. Again, like I said, like it feels like there's a ton of filler episodes in this one. It's great. A lot of character dynamics in this, or character tension in this episode,
right?
But I mean, ultimately, it's just a fine episode. It's cool seeing Toph like using her earthbending to like get themselves some money, which ultimately actually helps during Day of the Black Sun, getting all that money.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's just a nice episode, showing everyone like how great of a person Katara is and how great she is to the team.
Yeah, more creative with waterbending, using your own sweat to cut through a wooden cage.
Oh yeah, someone mentioned, she only had her sweat for waterbending, and then when they get out, and when they go after Combustion Man, she has like this giant block of ice over his head. Mm-hmm. Was that all her sweat?
Let's not think about that. I mean,
it's just I saw it and I'm like,
do we need to ask Alexis?
Yes.
What I always say about Star Wars: sometimes it's best to not think about it. Like,
but this is the Last
we're getting
Airbender, though, so it's a little different.
I think it applies in this case. Peter, your thoughts on the episode?
I like Splosion Man because he makes things explode. I know there are dissenting opinions here, but they are wrong, so I do not care. I appreciate the relationship between Toph and Katara being further explored, as they are two interesting characters that rarely get much interaction between one another. And I enjoyed the episode.
I agree.
Mm-hmm. Oh, also I remember Sokka gets a messenger hawk.
And then it's never seen again, right?
Never seen again. And I don't remember, I think I mentioned it, but I remember apparently Zuko was supposed to get like a pet for himself in the show, but they cut it out, and it was supposed to be that hawk.
Really?
Yeah. But then they took it out and just made them messenger hawks, I guess.
Lame.
Yeah. I kind of wish they did it. I wonder what would happen.
Probably too many animal side characters.
Well, you see that in this episode where Momo and the hawk fight each other, but then Appa's like, "Raw," and they're like, "Oh shoot, we gotta stop them." It was just a funny joke. And then also this episode, you just see like the limit of like Toph getting tired of them forgetting that she's blind.
Because
that was hilarious. That's like I forget how much of a running gag that was, but they really do like make like get their money's worth out of these, like making fun of her because she's blind, because they keep forgetting that it's like when Katara was like, I know it was you, Sokka. I mean, Toph doesn't know how to write because she's blind.
No, but then Katara shows her the flyer of like the wanted poster, and she's like, "What is this?" And she's just like, "I don't know. What's wrong with you guys?
Yeah.
I'm blind." Oh my god, it's a great joke.
That it is funny though, and it somehow gets like, it's almost like that Guardians 2 effect where like they repeat a joke and it goes through the motions of it like being funny the first time, being less funny, but then it keeps getting funnier the more it's used. So it's like that.
So episode 8, The Puppet Master.
This is the bloodbending episode?
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, well, everyone loves this episode.
This is a good one.
Of it. Yeah. So the gang ends up in another small village, I guess you can
That tends
say.
to happen to them a lot.
Yeah. But it starts off with them telling scary stories around a campfire, and they get some old lady finds them in the middle of the woods, and she's like, "Come stay at my place, children." And they get told a story about that village that people keep disappearing during a full moon. And Sokka gets a weird, creepy vibe from the old lady. He decides to investigate her, and they find out that she's from the Southern Water Tribe. Yeah. And the old lady and Katara just form like this little bond because they're both waterbenders. And we learn some new tricks from her. Not just the bloodbending, but getting water from the air, but also from the
flowers. Yeah,
and
yeah.
Just like literally everything just dies around them if they do it. And yeah, then we get the bloodbending, where she said that she was captured. Oh my god, I love this part. So she explains that her and her people were fighting the Fire Nation as much as they could, and then you get this little clip of her and the waterbenders like stopping a ship, like basically like freezing it.
Right.
And it's the same ship from the first episode.
Yep.
And I'm like, what? That is awesome. Great connection. But eventually they catch all the waterbenders, put them in cages, and she manages to escape because in every full moon, where we all know that's the height of every waterbender's abilities, she bends the blood of people and just like makes them walk around like her puppets. And it's also just a really scary, everyone considers this like the scariest episode. I just find it funny.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, it's scary for several reasons, but it's like, this is the who thought that waterbending could be so fucking deadly? Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, it's like taking it is a it's kind of a sad story because, like, she was a soldier for the Southern Water Tribe trying to defend her people, and like she gets taken prisoner. She's basically imprisoned her whole life, and it rots her to the core so much that when she escapes, she goes on this murder spree. It's kind of a sad thing with I think her name was Hana, whatever it was, the old lady. Yeah, it also, in a way, like, she ends up getting what she wants because now Katara is burdened with the knowledge of bloodbending, and which is pretty fucking sinister. So yeah, creepy episode, good episode, big one for Katara, and of course it comes back into play later on. And from what you tell me, it's something that comes back in Korra.
No.
So.
Yeah, the bloodbending.
You're really
does
gonna
come
spoil
back.
the whole season for him?
This is information that was already revealed a few episodes back on this Avatar: The Last Airbender recap series.
You don't have to explain a word. David, I get it. Alexis has spoiled so much shit for you. You deserve.
Yeah, Ransom did it. Peter, what are your thoughts on this episode?
I
what are your
agree,
thoughts
David.
on this episode?
I 100%
Stop with
agree.
this. Come on, answer the question. Answer the question. What is it? Your
I
thoughts
agree,
on this
David.
episode?
He's constantly spoiling shit for you.
Oh my god, I didn't spoil anything. David and Alexa said this on this very program weeks ago. I'm just basically reiterating what they had said. And yes, Ransom did it. Fuck off.
All I was trying to convey was my understanding to David.
And all I'm trying to convey is fuck you.
Duly noted. This is a really good episode. Very creepy, very unnerving. And it shows that ambiguity within people, because what was done to her was barbaric, and it created a monster in which, you know, she unleashed that barbarism on other people. And there is
innocence when you think about it. Not all of them, but a lot of them are innocents that she targets.
It's also a good way to show that a monster can come from anywhere, not just from the Fire Nation.
But she was created by the Fire
The Fire Nation. The Fire Nation creates a. I guess what you're trying to say is like a monster can be from any nation, but also to reinforce it, the Fire Nation is probably singularly responsible for why she ended up being a monster in the first place.
It's
for sure. But
it's
still,
that level of gray that you don't see in most kids shows, where you 100% understand why she does what she does and what was done to her, why it would cause her to be the way she is, but at the same time, like, damn, that's fucked up. And you sort of have to balance both of those ideas simultaneously in your head when you're thinking of this character. Whereas with other characters, you can just go, no, they're the good person, and then that's the bad person. A truly challenging character is when you have, you know, multiple ideas about who these people are, sort of spinning plates all at once. And that's what we have here. So yeah, one of the better episodes. I really like this one. Plus bloodbending's pretty fucked up. Looks painful.
They make it sound painful. Oh my god. And I remember now. So if you remember when I said when Aang was fighting Combustion Man and he did that thing where he blows air at one of his explosions, and so that makes the fire go the opposite way from him. Katara does something similar to that when she's fighting Hama. So like they keep like throwing water back and forth towards them, and then finally Hama like goes straight at her. But Katara, she does something similar to what Aang did, like blows it the opposite way from her, and get this cool little animation detail where the little water droplets, you see the reflection of her and Hama.
It's very cool. Anime.
Yeah. So again, that's why I brought it up before. It's because she does something similar to what Aang did, and I think it's just a cool way to show that they keep learning from each other, you know.
Katarang shipper.
Maybe asking. But yeah, again, scary ass episode.
Well, if Alexis has nothing else to spoil, we can go to episode
9, Nightmares and Daydreams. So they make it. The gang makes it to the rendezvous point of the
invasion,
where their army's going to be at. The invasion, yes. And Aang is just scared shitless about the battle coming up, and he just keeps having these nightmares. And besides, at one point, I'm just not gonna go to sleep. Fuck it. And yeah, if you want to talk about filler episodes, honestly, like, I mean, I get it. It makes sense that he's like incredibly afraid, But oh my god, did they go insane with this episode?
I agree, but I feel like that makes it a little just worthwhile watching it because they really, really tested the bounds of how crazy they could get with it. I mean, like, it got so insane. We had extended sequences with like talking Appa and Momo and fighting each other as well, and it was. No, I think he was in this, wasn't he? Wasn't there a bear in this episode?
But was it Bosco?
No, probably not. It doesn't matter to me. Anyway, it was... Yeah. I remember watching this episode, and I was like, man, that was one of the least important episodes of the whole show. I mean,
yeah,
it really was. But I mean, it was weird and it was kooky. And I think I'm willing to see shows when they get to that point. And I think they mostly pulled it off.
Respect to the weirdness, always.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But is what is weird to me is that this is the third season, and it feels as if there's more filler in some instances than previous seasons, which is weird.
Yeah.
Because you'd think, like, if anything's going to have filler, it's going to be that first season. Because you're just trying to, figure out what your show really is, the characters and all that. And don't get me wrong, we've talked about some really good episodes. Not necessarily filler.
There's not a single episode in this that's anywhere near bad.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I also think those that you might consider filler probably aren't, because they are developing the characters.
I think the Swordmaster episode, as well as the previous one with the bloodbending, I think those are essential episodes
development
for the characters. Even the Ember Island episode, I mean, it's developing these characters. I think what people get this perception of filler is like, well, it's not advancing the overall plot forward, right? It's just standing still.
Which,
yeah,
I mean, again, if you have an issue with that, then you should hate Empire Strikes Back, because not a damn thing changes plot-wise from beginning to end.
Or The Last Jedi.
That's not true, though. The plot does technically change, or at least the dynamics.
Well, I mean, in terms of how it's perceived from people,
yeah.
I agree with you. But how people perceive it, it's like they think it's a waste of time.
Well, whatever. But with this, we're to be fair, we're probably using filler grossly out of context, because most, if not every one of these episodes does put forward a foot to develop the characters in some way. And this one does as well.
With Aang snapping, like, hey, the big thing that the whole show has been teasing is kind of tomorrow,
the stress
and you're really
is snapping him into.
And literally, you're kind of caught with your pants on your ankles, and like.
To be fair,
what?
he really shouldn't be worried, because especially if the fucking Fire Lord can't fireband at all, what's he gonna fucking do?
You kind of have him.
If anything, it's kind of cheating at that point. But I like it. It's funny. I get it. But
yeah. No, like you guys said, like in the past episodes, there's they do good stuff developing certain characters, but then they also just do a good job at like making us view things in a different light. Like, again, we're in the Fire Nation, and they keep showing us that not everyone is bad. They're all just trying to live their lives, and some of them just, they don't know what's going on really in their home. So I know I'm the one that keeps saying, like, this is a filler episode, but like I said, there's just really cool shit going on during those episodes. Whereas this one, again, it makes sense that Aang is super nervous, but oh my God,
it's just because
it's just
a lot of people think filler means that the entire episode is dead and a waste of space, and that there's nothing redeeming about it. And that's an extreme point of view that I think is almost never true when it comes to episodes of any show. Most shows that are attacked for being filler. There are shows that have episodes that have no consequence and don't even do anything characterly interesting, but yeah, to have to put out that distinction though. But people generally throw the word filler to basically dismiss a bunch of episodes as like, well, it's not really important, so you can skip it. Because apparently fandom itself has become obsessed with skipping episodes.
Well, you know, people don't got as much time during the day.
But they do in a pandemic.
Not all of them. Shout out to our Domino's employees.
Okay, so episode 10 now. Day of the Black Sun.
Dun dun dun.
Dun dun dun. Yes. So finally, the gang's army is basically heading towards the rendezvous point, and we see some old friends. We see, who is it? The Duke Pipsqueak, that one guy. The
Boulder.
The Boulder. Yes. But also that one guy that they saved from a prison. I can't remember his name. He has a mustache now.
Something, not Baru, but Peru. I don't know.
Haru, wasn't it?
Whatever.
Yeah.
That Earth Kingdom prisoner person.
Who?
Yeah. We also see the cultural appropriated technologically people that were taking refuge in the
the air
air
temple.
temples. Yeah.
And then they all get wiped out.
Mm-hmm. And then we see the swamp people again
with their vines.
Yeah. And so and then they're all. What happens next? Oh yeah. So Sokka, they're all there. They're all trying to get ready, and Sokka is trying to give a big speech, the battle plans and all that, but he fails completely. Drops all the maps, keeps stuttering, fumbling, and ultimately his dad is just like, just let me handle this, and he gives the big speech. Really, that's actually, honestly, I still find it pretty cool, like the way he does it. And it's like, today is the Day of Black Sun.
Today is our Independence Day.
We're gonna live on.
I should watch that movie. It would be timely.
Yeah. But I also like, though, when he's giving out the battle plans, this was essentially Sokka's plan, right? Like this was his idea on how to do it, which I think it's so great. Like, just how much he thought up of the plan, especially when the Boulder says, like, wait, why are we attacking before the eclipse if, like, the whole point is to attack them during? And I like that bit of info that it's like, no, we're gonna go in, attack them as much as we can, and then once we're like, like good enough into the Fire Nation, the eclipse should start, and then we can definitely take them over during that time, which awesome plan, honestly. So now they're all trying
once
to
again the ignorance and hapless attitude of the Earth King comes back to bite them, because like it didn't occur to him, hey, these Kyoshi warriors back at the end of last season, who I later found out were imposters, I accidentally told them the big secret plan, and I couldn't be bothered to tell Team Avatar, hey, Azula knows about the fucking eclipse.
He was worrying about Bosco, okay? He had bigger fish to fry.
Honestly, and I was thinking about this, I think Boomy would be a much better Earth King at this point. And Boomy's crazy.
Yeah. but he's smart though. So, but yeah, and then so the money that they made from Toph.
But I mean, hold on a minute, real quick. I mean, going into this episode, I mean, did you forget that, or did you already like know going in? Like, did you remember that Azula was aware of this? Like, because we don't see the Fire Nation at all prepare. So maybe there's enough episodes that some viewers might forget that they are aware of this plan.
I remember.
And so when the big cliffhanger, but the big cliffhanger is like no one's there in the palace, and the whole city's been evacuated, and it was all a trap. It's a trap. Yeah.
No, I mean I remember that Azula knows about the plan, so I was just waiting for like what was gonna happen, and like were they gonna be prepared? Were they gonna attack them first or something like that? So I was mostly just waiting, but I did not think of that part of the Earth King not telling them about Azula. You literally just said it, and I'm like, oh shit, he fucked up.
That on top of already fucking up in a number of different areas, to be fair. So I think a recall election is in order.
Election. Because emperors have elections.
So like I was saying though, so yeah, they laid out the bad plans and all getting ready. And so the money that they made when Toph was like scamming people, you see what Sokka made, and Appa has like this badass armor with like a giant metal arrow on top of his head. That was really cool. Katara gets like a new clothing for the battle, which I actually really, really like. She got like these awesome boots. She got like hands, like I don't know, these gloves wrapped around her but then also like the water pouch that she holds like 4 of them now on her back, and like the way she fills it up, like damage. I think that she's like she's ready
for nothing, and there ain't no firebenders.
Well, the big thing is though, I mean, yeah, we see the ships, but the big surprise are the submarines.
Yes, the submarines are great, and then, again, it's another idea Sokka came up with. I mean, you see the blueprints.
They don't have the technology to actually be, mechanically operated, but they use the benders, the water benders, to move the submarines along. That was kind of creative. I
also like that bit of you see his blueprints for the submarines, but it's literally just like a kid's drawing of like.
Yeah, he's not the best artist when it comes to drawings. I think that's or anything really when it comes to like in that regard, because there was also, I think he also tried to make an image of Suki in the sand, and it ended up being this blob monster. So I mean, yeah, he's not talented in that area, unfortunately.
One last thing. So right before the battle, again, they're all getting ready, and then you finally see Aang in his airbending clothes again. He's bald, and I just like that bit of imagery they do where he has like his new staff, and like one of those like sheeps come towards him. It's supposed to be imagery of him as a
shepherd.
A shepherd, yes. Which is, I don't know. It's always cool. It's those little details.
And then they do nothing.
Yes. And so finally, though, we finally get to the battle, and they're badass right here, man. Again, they go through submarines to get to the island, and then all of a sudden, from those submarines, there's like, I don't know, a train or whatever the fuck it is, covered in metal.
Yeah, they got these train tanks, basically. No, they do. This episode is basically all battle, and it's great.
It's great teamwork from all of them, basically. From the ground, from the sky. I think, Katara's in the sky most of the time. She's trying to take out as much as she can. And then...
to accomplish
nothing. You're spoiling. I was kidding. I'm just now saying it. Wow. But then,
because if we go by Star Wars rules, if your plans ultimately fail, then it's pointless. Why are we watching it?
I don't know. We get Hakoda. We get a scene from him being like actual badass. We actually see him fighting. I think it was pretty cool the way he did it. His like stick thingy disarming a bunch of other Fire Nation people and just taking them out. And then you see all of them. Him, Katara, and Sokka working together, taking out, what were they called? I don't know, just like towers, I guess. And then Hakoda gets hurt, and Sokka takes over. Now he's being the leader, and which is a great moment because before that, Sokka feels like shit because he messed up on this big speech of his. I thought he ruined his moment, but Aang was like, "Nah, you're gonna do great in the battle. Like, don't worry about it. You'll get your chance. Trust me." And there it is. He just takes over. What plan did he make? Oh yeah. He made those like train things. Basically, form a shield around them, and then put the benders like right in the middle of it, and it just kind of. It was just like a giant ass tank, basically trying to get towards the wall.
There was a lot of good action. It's just amazes me how they've been able to keep the action fresh, and the bending and the abilities this entire time, throughout this entire series, and throughout an entire another series that had an extra season that this season didn't even have. That's pretty crazy. But no, the action was really good. Really, really good.
Yeah, it was great. And so then Aang goes to the Fire Nation Temple, I guess that's what it's called, and he realizes that no one's there. The Fire Lord's not there, so they realize that.
And then one of the most not infuriating, I want to say frustrating cliffhangers. I remember watching that live and like, fuck off. Now I gotta wait for this to be resolved because this was the mid-season finale, and like this is my first real taste of a mid-season finale, and I hated it.
That's what you get for liking TV.
Wait, was there like there was a break after that part? When he realizes,
yeah.
I thought it was after, like, I thought they showed both parts and then there was a break.
No, I remember vividly. No, they broke it up. Part 2 didn't come until months after.
Because I thought it was after. I mean, either way, though, I felt like, no, I want to see the ending already. God damn it. So, yeah.
I mean, you had to know the shit would fail. You're not at the end of the season. They're not going to, defeat the Fire Nation and then have 8 more episodes of just like, oh, what do we do now?
No, yeah, that's true. That's true. But, wait, we're talking about both parts here, right? Or are we just ending it at one?
No, this is episode 10, right?
Oh, it's just that on Netflix, so they have it as both parts.
What?
Yeah.
I just saw it. It was part 1, then part 2. They're 2 individual episodes.
No, mine said episode 10, and they had both parts. It was an hour long.
What? Unless they recently changed it, because I know that in the last few weeks they got the full HD version of the show, and then they also they took the 4-part Sozin's Comet and made it into a movie option.
Yeah.
They also had the 4 parts as options to stream, but they also have it as one combined film.
I'm probably gonna watch it as 4 parts because I just want to see how it, was originally meant to be seen.
You've already seen these episodes.
Chill out, dog.
Okay. No, we'll discuss part 2 in the next time.
All right.
Because it was originally broadcast episode 11. So
okay, we'll leave the audience with the cliffhanger.
Dun dun dun.
Exactly. That's what they fucking get. That's what they get. If I had to endure, they can endure. They only got to wait.
Defeats Lord Ozai.
So you know what?
But how?
Okay, then.
You have to wait till next time to find out. He removes his bending. Anyway, go on, guys.
Oh my god. Nah. So that was part 1 of Day of the Black Sun, I guess. What did you guys think of the first 10 episodes then?
First 10 episodes.
Unless you have more to say about Day of the Black Sun.
No, yeah. I'll just reiterate what I said is on first watch originally, I wasn't really thrilled or enchanted with it. But having rewatched them, I appreciate all of them. And I think perhaps maybe there are some circles that treat this section a little too harshly because there are some amazing episodes involved here overall. And really, every episode I feel has examples of why this show is great. So, yeah, we're on a roll here. That's what I think. Peter?
I really enjoyed the first half of the 3rd season. I think it has a lot of great episodes, a lot of great action, a lot of great character beats. You do have those instances where it slows down a bit and it's like, do we need this? But I think just about every episode does its job to serve the characters, either the characters or the story or both, and does it in a very, very good way. So yeah, I'm all for first half season 3. Really like it.
Ditto.
Yeah. No, same. I mean, talking about it now, I never realized how much things they set up that really just help out the ending of the story. Especially like when Aang decides like, I'm not gonna kill the Fire Lord. I always saw it as him just being the good guy, you know? It's like, he's a good guy. He never kills, blah, blah, blah. But no, there was actual setup in these first 10 episodes as to why he's come to that conclusion. And
he was raised by
I really like, and that too. But again, him seeing a different side of the Fire Nation helped him come up with that conclusion. So.
Well, if that's the case, I think we have come to the end of this wonderful recording. Reminder that we still got one more part to go with our Avatar recap, which will feature the final 11 episodes of Avatar: The Last Airbender. I'm hoping we can get the rest of the cast to actually give a shit and come back on.
I doubt it.
Because we haven't had an episode. Maybe.
They gotta make pizza.
But that'll
instead.
Be the wonderful. He's not even working today. Didn't want to be on the show. I'm putting that out there.
Did Mummy have a sweet tooth?
Don't. Anyway, thank you all for listening. I want to remind you all to check out the Fantasy Fair podcast, which makes its wonderful comeback Friday with Moreno and Kyle talking about Splash Mountain and other stuff. To the Table has its season finale. It's season finale this Friday with Tron Uprising with me and Peter. And of course, David and I are doing the Beyond the Shield series every single Monday. And we have more episodes coming your way with Red Spotlight. So thank you all for listening. Thank you, Peter and David, for being here. Stay out of the spotlight on Apple and Spotify and CastBox for much more content. And until next time, have a happy 4th of July and do not go outside. Hey, that rhymed in a way. Bye-bye.